when did you realize the importance of championing the microbiz individual, that realizing that a small business is a big business, actually, and technically, isn't it? 200 employees, I think small business could be.
Yeah, I mean, an SME, we had a campaign saying not an SME when we started the MicrobizMatters movement. And the reason for that was because government and the media class small businesses as SMEs. You'll see it termed all over the media in various things. And that is less than 250 employees, Graham. That was 250 employees is huge. I mean, you know, I only had 200 employees in Amway UK. We were one of the biggest businesses in Milton Keynes, you know. So it's crazy. A micro business is 0 to 9 and employees, and that's what people generally think of as a small business in the UK. And the reason I got involved was pure, I realized it was such an unlevel playing field. Basically, our business had grown quite well. And by the time we got to 10 years into our business, I was not only a consultant to many of the most successful UK businesses and American businesses there are in the UK, but I was also a consultant to government. And one day I was speaking, I think it was at the CBI or something like that, and a leading banker and a leading civil servant were talking to me, and one of them said, "What are we going to do with the great unwashed turning?" And by that, they meant the micro businesses, who, as today, they pretty much regard there's 5.6 million then, only 800,000 when my dad was running his micro business. They pretty much regarded them as deadweight. They're always looking for the next unicorn, the high growth, high status, high scale up, millionaire mindset kind of entrepreneur. And in those days, they were talking about, you know, we've got too many aromatherapists. So what they meant, what are we going to do about the great unwashed is how do we get them contributing more to the economy? And it was then that I started looking at things like paying 30 days. And I realized that, you know, what they're actually doing by these policies is bullying large corporations and government are keeping micro businesses down. They're actually quite happy to keep them in debt and poverty, frankly. That's the nature of the competition. And so they will happily get somebody providing milk to a supermarket who's got to pay the farmer immediately to sign something saying that they will be paid in 60 days or 90 days or 120 days. It's total bullying. So then I went back to Schumacher. I had actually read Schumacher before, and but I'd not really cottoned on to how important he was. And it was another 15 years before I spoke at a Small is Beautiful conference that I really, you know, really started to get behind his and his values. And a number of other people I met, like Professor Alan Gibb from Durham University, Dr. Ernesto Ciroli, who created Enterprise Facilitation. There are a whole group of people that are actually believe that Schumacher got it right from an economic, as if people mattered point of view. He didn't really talk a lot about enterprise. He just said that that was just and good and likely to do better things for the community and the environment and personal development, really, than any other. And so I then really started saying, because these people assumed that because I looked fantastic in a suit, Graham, and I was, you know, going to all the right places and in all the right meals. And I was, at Windsor Castle, doing think tanks and all these kind of things, that I would, be on their side, that micro businesses weren't serious businesses, otherwise they'd have grown bigger. But of course, all the greatest entrepreneurs create something out of nothing and must start as a micro business. And then I found that the figures were outstanding. If you actually looked at somebody being given the right support, 80% of them could survive 3 years. If they've got the right support from that day one and they take the various actions that are necessary, 80% can survive 3 years. And so then I realized that, hey, look, 6% of those 80% will become the entrepreneurs that these bankers and the government and these people want. But let's get more to survive those first 3 years. And I can do that by 2 ways. I can do that by improving the support these businesses get in the UK. This is a UK problem, by the way, UK and USA problem. There's lots of other countries that just do this normally. The families look after them, they're well sorted, there isn't the bullying. Many countries around the world would not accept more than 30 days payment to micro businesses, and they'll pay as fast as they can because they revere micro business owners in their community. So I realized I could do something by improving the quality of support that they got, and then reducing the costs and regulations and the things that governments are actually imposing on them. And that was the 2 ways that I thought that in my lifetime I could maybe do something to level the playing field a bit.
Now, of course, we're working a lot with young people who are coming from nothing. Many are on a basic universal credit income. So just over 200 a month. So, if I'm creating a micro business with them, our expectations don't have to be very high in order to make a dramatic difference to their income. I mean, the first thing I say to them is, let's try and double your income. Let's try and get you 500 a month, something like that, Yeah. And then maybe the next goal is, if you've got a really successful project, let's try and make sure that next financial year you pay some tax. But that's only 12 and a half, isn't it? So, it doesn't have to be a big leap to get them actually feeling that they are literally paying something back. They're actually giving something back to the country that supported them for some time. Because a lot of them don't understand the system and why we have tax. Those people in the pub who say, well, the government ought to pay for this, and don't realize that actually they are paying the government. Once our young people understand that, they do get it. They do see that actually running a successful business is all part of making the country wealthier, and we all benefit if that is the case.
No, and I'm a great admirer of what you do as well. I mean, the sheer joy of talking to someone like you who's working with these young people all the time in Hull is that there is none of the, what can I call, the fluff that goes with this kind of entrepreneurship deal kind of thing. It is as practical as that, isn't it? It's about little steps at the beginning and actually understanding the reality of it. So, for example, you're incredibly vulnerable if they don't have a Graham or a Mike or a Charles or somebody that's actually totally grounded and that understands their world, their money, their income position. They're exceptionally vulnerable to the people that say, you're not dreaming big enough. You haven't got enough ambition. You haven't got that millionaire mindset. Do you know what I mean? You haven't got the presence. You're associating with people that aren't wealthy themselves. So you shouldn't, you know, you'll never get anywhere if you're not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're actually changing their lifestyle, really, bit by life and work style, bit by bit, until they're actually able to break even, frankly, in terms of what they're putting in their work and life. They're getting back in some kind of money, and that's my admiration to anybody. It's like I think at one of your awards, it was a cleaning business, and that, you know, and she won that, and tremendously creative, and the customer service, a bit like Charlie Mullins with Pimlico Plumbers. You know, people say, why is that Flash Git, you know, multi-millionaire? Because he provides the most outstanding plumbing service in London. Nobody can beat their 24/7 customer service, and that's why all the celebrities recommend them all the way through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's people being able to do something better and better and better and better, and getting a little bit better return. And you've got to keep testing. You can't assume that what you're doing today is going to be what, and that's why I say multiple income streams are so important. So therefore, look at all the businesses that EKM, who you work with, Anthony Chesworth, Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, he's recorded that their 38,000 customers, all online shops, have doubled their turnover since we've had COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what business you have, you've got to find a way of having an online offering as well, haven't you?